that's going to take it even deeper. And I think you guys are going to have quite a few aha moments. So when you do, I want you to post those in the chat so we can all learn from each other. Now, if you're just joining us for the first day today, don't worry, because the recordings from days 1 and 2 are in the guide section of the Facebook group or over on our YouTube channel. But if you need to catch up, make sure that you do so quickly, because all the recordings from this week are coming down Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. All right. Without further ado, here's Bob, all about self-image and attitude. Raj and I are going to meet you on the other side.
Let's go back to the drawing. We'll say that circle represents your mind, and this circle represents your body. Now, your mind is broken into two parts. The top half is the conscious mind, the bottom half is the subconscious mind. Now, there's a power flowing into our consciousness, and it never stops. And when that power flows in, we can build any picture out of it we want. That's where we think. And then we turn those thoughts over to our subconscious mind, and that instantly sets up a vibration in the body. See, the body's already vibrating. The body's a mass of molecules in a very high speed of vibration. And it's the thoughts that you think that dictate how you feel. Now, feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. And it's the vibration we're in that dictates how we act, but it also dictates what we attract. And you see, it's the action attraction that controls our results. Now, attitude is our position or bearing as indicating thoughts, feelings, and actions. The thoughts that you think, you send off into the universe. The feelings that you experience, you're sending off into the universe. And of course, your actions. Now, the thoughts that you think are going to come back, so are the feelings and so are the actions. Attitude is a position or bearing as indicating, or as thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's all three parts of our personality. We've got to control our thinking. All the great leaders all down through history have taught us that. Now, when we start talking about our thinking, we want to think about ourselves. What do you think of you? What do you know about you? Now, let's set this aside for right now, Scott. And we'll just block that out and come back on here with the screen. There's 3 essential questions. Here's one. How does self-image impact my life? Number 2, how is self-image formed? And number 3, how is self-image changed? Now, I am going to go through that here this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are. But I'm going to answer all those 3 questions, how the self-image impacts our life. It controls everything in our life. How the self-image formed, and then how it's changed. Okay, so stay with me here. Alfred Adler said something that I just absolutely love, and I've sort of taken ownership of this from him. I am grateful to the idea that has used me. I am grateful to the idea that has used me. Ray Stanford gave me this book in 1961, October the 21st. And he said, if you do exactly what I tell you, study this every day, he said, you can have anything you want. Now, I really didn't believe that. But as I got to know him, I believed he believed it. And he said, Bob, your way's not working. Why don't you try mine? If your way's not working, I'm going to ask you to try mine. Because I've become happy, healthy, and wealthy by following that. It's a phenomenal concept. We're talking about you and the idea of you. Okay? Now look it. There's a little drawing again. Okay? You have in your subconscious mind an image of you. And that image controls your behavior and it controls your results. So it's mighty important you start to understand that. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't. There's a lot of kids in school having difficulty with grades in school, and their problem isn't in their intellect. Their problem isn't with the subject they're dealing with. Their problem's with themselves. They don't understand the self-image. Neither does a parent. So stay with me here. There's 2 books that are classics, absolute classics. And I want you to put these in your library. Psycho-Cybernetics is one. Ask is the other one. Now, these 2 books are absolute classics. Psycho-Cybernetics is a phenomenal book by Maxwell Maltz, a cosmetic surgeon. He was doing reconstructive surgery. Let's suppose a person had a very distasteful scar on their face. He removed the scar, and he noticed there was not only a change in the person's appearance, but he said there was a change in their image that they had. Their behavior, how they thought about themselves changed. But he said this didn't always happen. Sometimes, regardless of how successful the change was in the physical, there was no change in the psyche of the person. He said that led him to postulate that we have 2 images. We have the one that first comes back from the mirror when we stand in front of it, and then there's one inside. This is a great book to help you understand that. Ask is a phenomenal book because most people never learn how to ask. It's so strange. We should willingly give and graciously receive, but we should never, ever, ever be reluctant to ask anyone for anything. Asking is something we must learn. Mark Victor Hansen, who's a very good friend of mine, and Crystal Hansen, his wife, they're just a phenomenal couple, and they're a great pair, and they've put this book together. It's a phenomenal book. It'll answer almost any question you've got about asking. I want to suggest you get them and add them to your library. What we're talking here about is growth. And for growth, you need change. So you have to make up your mind you're going to change. There's no question about it. Now look at this. We have one life so far as we know. One life. It's all about lifestyle. Okay? It's about contribution. It's about how we spend our days. This is so important. It's so important. And it's all dependent on how we see ourselves, our own self-image. If we have low self-esteem, we're sunk. When I first started to read this book, I had very low self-esteem. I was a very insecure human being. Totally. Today, I've got a pretty good opinion of me because I've started to understand me. And as we understand ourselves, everything starts to change. Now, this drawing helped me as much as anything. Here we have the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. Now, the conscious mind has the ability to think. We're going to come back over this every meeting, every meeting. This is our educated mind. This is where the intellect is resident, and that's where your real high-power tools are. The subconscious is the emotional mind. It operates quite different from the conscious mind. The conscious mind, because you can think, you have the ability to choose. That's a beautiful thing to know. You have the ability to accept or reject anything that's said to you, anything that comes your way. You do not have to accept it. You can reject it, or you can decide to accept it. If you reject it, you've got the ability to originate in your mind. You're a creative being. That's a beautiful thing to know. Now, your subconscious mind doesn't have that ability. It does not have that ability. It must accept whatever is given to it. It has absolutely no ability to reject, and this is the key part. It cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. It's such an important thing to know, and most people don't. Now look at this. You are a mass of energy, and you function on frequencies. Now that would be a picture of you if you were taking a photograph taken with Curly in photography. Semyon Kurlian was a Russian back in 1934. He perfected a form of photography where he could photograph mass, and he would photograph the energy coming from mass. Your body is mass, and there's energy coming from your body, and it can be measured. You can even learn to read it. Okay? That's what you look like. You have a paradigm. A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. It's so important we understand this because the paradigm, the self-image is part of the paradigm. The self-image is in there in that paradigm. Now, let's look at this for a moment. Cybernetics and paradigms. This is a very important subject. Cybernetics and paradigms are both control systems, operate essentially on the same principle. Both maintain a definite course of action and will not deviate from that course that has been established. You must alter the paradigm if you desire to improve results in your life. Both companies and individuals have operating paradigms. Now think of this for a moment. Countries have paradigms. Culture is a paradigm. A paradigm is a multitude of ideas that are fixed in our subconscious mind. That's what culture is. Culture is nothing but a mass of ideas that are fixed in people's mind. Companies have a culture, or you could say companies have a paradigm. Families have a culture, or you could say families have a paradigm. Now let's take a look here at the baby. Blow that up. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful little baby. Now, if we use the graphic illustration to show what a baby is like, here's the baby. Just the subconscious mind, no conscious faculties, and everything that's going on around that little baby's mind, everything that's going on is dumping right into that baby's subconscious mind. Now think of what I'm saying here. Everything that is said, every movement, every thought is going right into the baby's subconscious mind. Do you know, most parents don't understand that. They don't understand just what all is taken into consideration here. We become a product of our environment. Our self-image is formed before we even have the ability to think. Now think of that for a moment. That's pretty important because the self-image is part of the paradigm. The paradigm is a multitude of ideas that are fixed in your subconscious mind and control almost all of your habitual behavior. Now stay with me. Then you develop a conscious faculty. And you have hooked up to your conscious mind sensory factors. You can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. The conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. And you have these higher faculties: perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, reason. All these faculties in our conscious mind, we're not taught to use them. A child can change their self-image by learning how to use them. School begins. And what happens? We go off into the world with not too much knowledge of what's going on. Now let's take a look at cybernetics from a practical perspective. Okay? And let's take a look at how paradigms operate. Much the same. Here's the cybernetic system in a thermostat. The thermostat, let's say, is set at 70 degrees. Now this would be, let's say, in a cold environment where I'm living, the thermostat's set at 70 degrees. And a person can be sitting in a room, maybe reading, and they're quite comfortable. They notice that the room is gotten cold. They go over and they check and they look on the thermostat, the temperature's dropped to 65 degrees. Now there was a time when that would cause you to move into action because the fire in the furnace maybe had gone out. Not anymore. You see, when the temperature drops to 65 degrees, the thermostat measures the deviation from the set goal. The set goal is 70. It sends a message to the furnace and a fire is turned on. And the temperature begins to climb. and the fire and the fan is turned on, and there's warm air being blown in the room until the temperature gets back to the target that we set it at, 70 degrees. Now you take a look, you probably found somebody left the door open, the front door open, the cold air's come in. That's how the temperature dropped. But it's changed, it all happens automatically. Oh, to be sure, you'd close the door, but you don't have to do anything to change the temperature of the room. That's all done with the thermostat. That is a cybernetic mechanism. Now think of what we said. It dropped to 65. The thermostat sent the message to the furnace, turned the fire on, turned the fan on, until the temperature was brought back at 70 degrees, and then it's all turned off. It all happened automatically. Let's take another look at a cybernetic system. There's a plane. A flight pattern is programmed into the plane's computer system. When the plane goes off course, the cybernetic system measures the deviation from the set goal and corrects the flight pattern. With the thermostat, the set goal was 70 degrees. Well, here the set goal is Paris. They're leaving Chicago, all right? And there's a thermostat or a cybernetic mechanism. It's called an automatic pilot. And that plane is on course for Paris until they hit some turbulence and the plane gets knocked off course. The second the plane leaves the flight pattern, the cybernetic system activates, measures the deviation from the set goal, and it puts the plane back on course again. Let me back that up. Look at it again. The plane is going on course. It gets hit by some turbulence and gets knocked off course. Cybernetic system is activated. It puts the plane back on course and ends up in Paris. Now the plane will go off course many times on its way to Paris, and the cybernetic mechanism keeps bringing it back on course. Now that's okay for thermostats and for airplanes. Let's take a look at it for you and me. The self-image is a cybernetic instrument. It's in the subconscious mind. It's part of the programming, okay? The self-image is there in the subconscious mind, okay? Let's suppose a person has a self-image that they're overweight. They are overweight. And so they decide they're going to go on a diet. A high percentage of the population are doing this all the time. And because they go on a diet, they start to lose weight. And they take some weight off. However, stay with me here. When a person is overweight, they go on a diet without altering the self-image, any weight loss will be temporary. The self-image, being a cybernetic instrument, measures the deviation from the set goal and immediately corrects the course. The weight that was lost is found. You see, the cybernetic mechanism, the self-image in the subconscious mind, measures the deviation from the set goal. They will do whatever is necessary. They'll start eating whatever is necessary or do whatever is necessary to bring it back on course again. Now this happens automatically, and anybody that knows anybody that's going on diets, they're up and down and up and down. They gain and lose tons in their lifetime. Okay? Now think about it. Cybernetic mechanism. Read that book. Okay? Now let's take another look here. Self-image, this is a cybernetic mechanism. Okay? A child's self-image. Let's say the child has poor grades. What do the parents do? Well, the parents might ground the kid. No more TV, no more studying, no more playing, just studying. And so they keep studying. They have some tests in school, and they find out, boom, their grades get better. When a person is receiving poor grades in school, it's an expression of the self-image they hold. The person believes they're not very bright. They, of course, receive a report card that reflects their poor self-image. The parent makes the child give up recreational activities and study. The grades improve, but the improvement is temporary. The child has never changed their self-image. And they get the report card with the better marks. Their self-image doesn't relate to that. So pretty soon, they're back on course, and they're getting the poor marks again. You see, if a parent would understand, when the child has the poor marks in school, it's the self-image that has to be improved. But the parent doesn't understand that. Now look here for a moment. There's the paradigm. And what we want to do is understand the paradigm produces results. The self-image is part of the paradigm. We want to get the child to use their imagination, build a beautiful image in their mind. Build a beautiful image in the mind. Then get them and teach them to get emotionally involved in that image. And what's going to happen? I'll tell you exactly what will happen. The results will change. Now, this is all happening by law. Thanks, God. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. Put the screen up again, if you would, Scott, please. Here you go with the child. And you take a look at the results. Understand that the grades are not doing well in school. We know the problem is in here. It's in here. It's in the subconscious mind. So start talking to them and help them understand just how good they are. Fill their mind with positive thoughts. They are looking at their grades as being negative. You help them start to see it positive. And sit down and show them it's just like playing golf, playing any kind of tennis, any kind of a sport. It takes repetition of the new idea. So we get the person to sit down and see what they want. Now let's do it this way. Let's start over and we get the child to think. You could be the child. And you may say, well, I'm not a child. That doesn't matter. The mind of a child operates by the same laws as the mind of an adult. Start to think, what would you really like to be like? And write out your self-image. I am so happy and grateful. Now that. And describe how you want to see yourself. And get the child to do that. And then show them if they get emotionally involved in it, it's going to produce the results that they want. Every time. Okay, now let's come back to this, Scott. Okay? Look at that drawing there. I'm going to back it up. Okay? The self-image is part of the paradigm. The paradigm controls the vibration. The vibration not only controls the action and the result, it controls what we attract. Now, what we want to do is start using the imagination. What do you really want to be like? Understand, if you build an image of what you want to be like, write it out. That's the start of attitude. It's the attitude towards yourself. Then get emotionally involved in that idea. Saturate your subconscious mind with it. Start to feel it inside. That idea has to manifest in how do you think I got here? How do you think I became the person I've become? This is exactly how I don't wonder if this works. I know it works. I'm going to be 87 on my next birthday. I'm still going strong. I earn very good money. I have wonderful friends all over the world. And I'm doing what I love to do every day. That's part of the image that I built. And I'm going to tell you something. When I picked up this book all those years ago, I was a mess. I was unhappy. I was sick. I was broke. I wasn't living a happy life. Think. You can change everything in your life. It's such a beautiful thing to understand. Now look, we already have the knowledge and power to accomplish most anything. However, we have not developed a clear understanding of how paradigms are formed and how they control our habitual behavior. Therefore, we frequently don't do what we already know how to do. A person knows how to do better. They've got superior knowledge, inferior results. That causes confusion and frustration. So let's go back to our model. Here's a person, they've got all this knowledge locked up in their conscious mind. But what's happening? The results aren't there. Well, of course, the results are nothing but the manifestation of the paradigm. If we want to change the results, now I don't care if it's your attitude, your thoughts, feelings, and actions, change your attitude, your sales will go up. Change your attitude, your relationships will develop. Change your attitude, you're going to live in a healthier body. Change your self-image, everything in your life changes. You see, if you want to change the results, you're going to have to change the paradigm. That's absolutely essential. And if you really want to change your own personal life, you're going to change your self-image. And you can do that. You can do it with the children. You can do it yourself. This is so important. And it's so misunderstood. Now stay with me. Decisions have to be committed decisions. Just to say you're going to do it, that's not good enough. You've got to commit. I think it's best if you make a commitment to a very close friend or loved one, and you get them to hold you accountable. Everything will start to change for you then. Bring discipline into your life. That's the ability to give yourself a command and follow it. It's such a beautiful concept. And it's so misunderstood. Now, I think that Buckminster Fuller put it very well. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. That's what people are doing when they're going on diets. They're fighting existing reality. That's what the parents do with the child when they get them to stay in and make them, give up all kinds of recreational activities and study. You see, they don't have to study the subject they're having a problem in. They've got to start to change how they see themselves. And when they do that, everything will change then. But you don't change things by fighting existing reality. To change things, you've got to build a new model that'll make the existing model obsolete. So as this power flows in, we can take and create thoughts out of it. And we can impress those thoughts upon the subjective mind. As we send the thoughts out, we also impress it. So we're not only sending our thoughts out into the universe, we're also impressing it upon this instrument, and we set up a vibration. Well, those feelings are also sent out into the universe. And then as it enters the body, it controls the vibration of the body. So what have we got here? We got thoughts, feelings, and actions. You know what that is? That's attitude. You try and line all these up. 1, 2, and 3. Thoughts, feelings, and action, that produces the results. That's also what attitude is. Attitude is the composite of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. And we know that Earl called attitude the magic word. It truly is. It changes everything. We always mention Mikey Stellar. I think Mikey, and we all talk about it in our company, and of course we support her in this, she has just about the best attitude in anybody I've ever known. She's got a phenomenal attitude, and everybody in the company agrees with that. Her attitude is absolutely incredible. Doesn't matter what's going on, Mikey has a great attitude. And as a result, she impacts everybody in the company. She has no understanding of this when she came to work here, but she had a good attitude when she came to work here. Now she just understands what she's doing mentally and physically, the game it's playing.
All right, such an incredible and important lesson. Araj, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Mikey. How are you?
I'm doing good. At the very beginning, I mentioned how this is my absolute favorite lesson. It's the lesson that made the biggest difference for me. And I know that you feel the same way. So what I'd like to know is, why do you feel that this lesson in particular is so important?
Well, this is, I think one of the most important lessons. I share this story often over the last few months. The end of last year, Bob and I would talk, and I would tell him, I said, I really think self-image is the key to everything. He said, Rush, you're so right. He said, it is the foundation of what a paradigm is. And I remember, Mikey, when I first started, obviously I was not the same person. I had insecurities. I used to run away from them, and then I got coached by Bob, and Bob said something that was so impactful for me. He said, you can never outperform your self-image. And right there was a big one. If we can never outperform it, that's what I had to change. So I used to put, and I still do, I put all my attention on image. And, I think of so many stories that him and I went back and forth, and I know you and I went back and forth because it has such an impact on you. And every goal that I have, the first thing I ask is, who do I have to become and how do I need to behave? And that matches the image, because all of us right now, if everyone takes a good look at where they are in their life, that's what they subconsciously feel that they deserve. And we can never attract what we don't feel worthy of. Well, if you go to the underneath that, what is that? That's our image. And our image is the most important picture we have, and that's the picture of ourselves.
I could not agree more. Raj, I know you have kids and you're constantly working with your kids. I am too. I have a 6.5-year-old, a 4.5-year-old, and a 7-month-old. But my 6.5-year-old and my 4.5-year-old specifically, I love working with them on self-image and attitude because they don't have all the paradigms that we have as adults. And so they just quickly make changes. And I'll always tell Frankie, if you think you can, you can. If you think you're the fastest, you'll be the fastest. Winners have good attitudes, and they take those ideas and they just immediately accept them. And everything changes so quickly for them, much quicker than it does for us as adults. But we can do the same thing. And I know that you had a big lesson from Bob on accepting an idea. And I think that that's so important with everything we're learning this week, but especially this lesson that we're getting into today. Will you tell that story for everyone?
Yeah, I have so many big ahas. That was a huge one for me. We talk about a paradigm shift happening either through spaced repetition and elite level coaching or through an emotional impact. Well, that was an emotional impact. And probably 5-6 years ago, Bob called me to congratulate me on something that I had achieved. And I said to him, and I always joke that you have to be very careful about what you tell him because he was so aware and he would pick up on anything. And I said to him, I wish I could do it every day. And he said, well, why don't you? And I said, I guess I don't know. And he said, it's just because you haven't accepted the idea. He said, this isn't rocket science. It's very easy. We are the ones who make it more complicated. And from that moment, I have accepted every idea. And the deeper I go into accepting an idea, we're always accepting ideas. It's just when we talked the other day about, the stick figure and the conscious mind, we can accept or reject. Well, I decided to accept what I wanted from that moment on. When Bob told me something, my antennas went up. And I really got when he emphasized something to me. And he used to say, you want to accept, approve, and adopt. Those were the 3 words. And I just accepted right away. Even right now, I have a goal. My goal card's in my pocket right now. And I'm already thinking about it, but I've already accepted it. Yesterday, when we were talking about goals, that's what fusing with it is. If you're one with the goal or if you're separate from it. When you're one, you've accepted it. Now it's just focusing on how can I get better? How can I behave in harmony with my goal? And that accepting of an idea, if I could tell you, it's too simple that most people right now, I guarantee you, most people are rejecting it. I guarantee it, because I've taught this to thousands of people and only a small percentage actually practice it. And we want to understand we have to rehearse and practice the behaviors we want to adopt. But if even 1% of you just start accepting, you're going to see a massive shift. I hope 100% of you really adopt it. But even if it's just 1%, that 1% will give us feedback of how much that's changed for them.
Absolutely. For several of us, it's taken us years to get to where we are now and to see quantum leaps. But it doesn't have to. And one of the great things that we're doing in these 5-day events is we are giving you what helped us make changes so that it doesn't have to take so long for you. So what I want everyone to do is get ready to accept an idea. Barrage is about to introduce several great ideas for you to accept that will immediately put you onto a millionaire frequency, immediately create a quantum leap for you if you are willing to accept the idea. So, Raj, I'm going to hand it over to you, and no pressure, but get everybody on that millionaire frequency if they accept the idea.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Will do. Well, I'm so happy to be here with you guys today on day 3. This is one of my favorite lessons to teach. It is still my favorite topic that had such a big impact with self-image and attitude. I shared with you yesterday about I went through a 2-year dive on attitude when I used to get stuck, when I was letting the outside control my attitude. Well, self-image, as I said earlier, is the most important picture we have of ourselves. And we're operating with it. We definitely have a picture of ourselves right now. What I'd like to start with is ask yourself, we've talked about the higher faculties, and that's something we're going to continue to talk about because that's how you bust through the paradigm. That's a paradigm buster. That is using our will, our intuition, our memory, our perception, our reasoning factor, and our imagination. But today I want to focus on perception, especially for self-image and attitude. Perception is how you see yourself. Perception is how you're seeing the world. See, we don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. That's what we pick up in our awareness. So my first question, and you're going to get an image right away of how you do it, but how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself abundant? Do you see yourself on the millionaire frequency? Do you see yourself coming from scarcity more than you are from abundance? Do you see yourself explicitly trusting yourself? Do you see yourself confident? When you really understand applied faith, that is faith with confidence. And that is going to create so much transformation. And what is faith? Faith is seeing what you want. That's seeing the invisible. You are picturing in your mind using that higher faculty imagination. It is believing in the incredible. What's the incredible? That if one person can do it, everybody can do it. You have this power. Your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. Any idea you plant in your subconscious brings it to pass. And then it's experiencing the incredible. Well, what is that? That's our 3-step process. Thoughts, feelings, action. What is that? That's attitude. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Life really becomes magical when we fall in love with ourselves. If we are not in love with ourselves, and this isn't from ego, it's not from arrogance, it's from complete appreciation of what we are. There's never going to be another person like you coming into this world. There's only one you. You have your unique gifts. We have to understand, instead of hiding from who we are, we want to appreciate it. We want to run towards our insecurities. There's nothing wrong with having insecurities. The problem is if we keep them, if we keep burying them down and suppress them, that suppression, is going to turn to depression. And that's where anxiety comes. Fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Well, how do you do that? You continue to build the image of what you want. And don't just build any image. Get out a piece of paper and write down in the present tense exactly like the person you want to become. And every day write that. As you write it, you're burning that into your subconscious mind. And remember, whatever you emotionalize in your subconscious, it's going to come to pass. Am I in love with myself? Fall in love with that. Now, identity is an inside job. Your results will always reflect your identity. My results will always reflect my identity. What are your results? I want everyone just to observe it. Don't get emotional about it. Just observe it. Say, listen, these are my results. When people tell me something, I say, well, your results are telling me a different story. And I said, don't get emotional about them because we can change them. But we have to understand that is telling us where our identity is currently conditioned. Now, what you want to do is keep expanding that identity. Say, okay, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that was there. From this moment on, I'm going to break that wall down of my paradigm by making a decision that I'm going to create the most impactful identity that I want, that is comfortable with me. The more you get comfortable with you, the more you're going to allow all the good you desire to come in. When you are operating with worry and putting on different masks for different people or different circumstances, you're not the real you. Now, in order to change our identity and attitude, the first thing we have to do is make a definite decision. Right now, make a decision that I'm going to create a $1 million identity or a $1 million self-image. Those names are synonymous. And I want you to really type in the chat right now. I'm going to give you a second. I want you to type it in, speak it into existence, that today is the day your identity is going to transform. Just by one decision, when we make a definite decision, our mind focuses on how we can. Your mind all day, if you're serious about this, and you accept that idea that whatever's happened in the past has prepared me for right now, that you make every day you wake up and you make it day one and you make a decision, mix it with discipline, that you're going to create the most amazing picture of yourself. Now, as we've said all week, this is just about you versus you. I remember for years, I was studying this before I met Bob, and I was always letting the outside control me. It was never about me. It was my ignorance. It has always been about me. This is about you. You are a genius. You can achieve 10 times, 100 times more than what you've done so far. But we've got to accept that idea and take extreme ownership. This is the start of transformation. It's not, I'm here because of them. It's not, I'm here because of this circumstance. When we take extreme ownership, we activate abundance right away. We initiate that process because everything that has brought me to this point, everything that has brought you to this point has been based on what you've chosen. Now, some of you may sit back and say, I didn't choose that. You did on an unconscious level. And so once we take extreme ownership and take that ownership that everything you do from this point on is going to really catapult you. You start taking ownership of every area and you're going to transform from victim to victor. Now, I tell you this every day, and I'm going to keep telling you this because big things are coming for you. I really want you to accept that idea. Big things. I want you to let that fill in your consciousness. Big things are happening for me. And everything that has happened in my life, in your life, has been absolutely essential to prepare you for where you're going. Everything that has happened. Well, I look back and I could say for 3 years, I was falling on my face when I was studying this. Well, why? Well, I didn't have the right mentorship. Well, all of a sudden I got the right mentorship and everything changed. No, everything didn't change just because of mentorship. I did what the mentor told me. I'll tell you guys a story about mentorship. Well, a few years ago, I told Bob, I said, I figured this out about mentorship because there's some people who do mentorship and they don't get the results. And I said, I know why. And he said, well, what do you think it is? I said, Bob, people are coachable up until their self-image. He said, but the outliers, the ones that made that decision that says enough is enough, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I'm going to do exactly what the mentor tells me. Those are the ones who change their image. They match the image of their mentor. And he said, that's exactly right. He said, you've got to do what is necessary. And that's why right now you have to get out of your comfort zone. It is impossible to change our image staying in our comfort zone. Now, building a bigger idea of yourself, sit there right now. Use that power that's flowing in and through you. And every day, build a bigger idea. All you have to do is keep thinking of the person I want to become. Write it down. Act as that person. And as you build a bigger idea of yourself, if you just build a bigger idea, 1% every day, you're going to change your life. You're going to change that image. And remember, our image is a direct reflection of what we draw into our life. We can never outperform it, but we can change it. Well, if I'm going to change my image, if you're going to change your image, if Mikey's going to change your image, then we all have to expand our image. And what does that Emerson say? He says, as soon as you expand, you never go back to the original space. 1%, that's it. I shared it earlier. You just have to get 1% better every day. 1% compounded over the next 60 days, completely different image. Completely different image. 1% compounded over the next 6 months, I mean, you won't even recognize yourself. I want to read you something. This is from a great book. It's called Power of Awareness with Awakened Imagination. Okay? And this goes so into goals and image. Goddard says, observe your inner talking and remember your aim. Do they match? Does your inner talking match what you would say audibly had you achieved your goal? The individual's inner speech and actions attract the conditions of his life. What is he saying? Your self-talk, it's thinking and acting, is how you're going to change your life. Well, that's how you change your image. Through uncritical self-observation of your inner talking, you find where you are in the inner world, and where you are in the inner world is what you are in the outer world. Well, your results are going to be a direct reflection of how you speak and act. Well, your image, your attitude is a direct result of that. I want you to observe today how you're speaking and acting and ask yourself, is that in harmony with the millionaire frequency? Then I want you to set the intent the rest of the day. I am only going to speak and act like the person who is on the millionaire frequency. And I promise you, if you say, I don't know where that person is, study the people earning millions. And as you do that, you're going to change. I earn millions, and if I can do it, you can do it. I'm no different. All I had was a definite goal to create the life that I wanted. Well, I know where I was, and if anybody knew me back then, they tell you, like, I was not a pillar of success. And I promise you, you are going to do it if you work on the image. You alter the paradigm, you have definite goals, you're working on your image, and you make definite decisions that we're going to get into tomorrow. Now, in order to understand what self-image is, we have to know, how does self-image impact my life? Well, it impacts it extraordinarily. How is self-image formed, and how is self-image changed? We're going to get into that. There is another version of you that is dying to come out. We talked about yesterday when I was speaking about goals, that our wants come from our subconscious and give our conscious mind that signal to say, hey, pay attention to this. Right now, every single person on this training can do 10 times better than what you're currently doing. Our job is to let that person out. Our job is to accept that idea, like Mikey triggered this morning when we were going back and forth, is our job is to accept that idea that I can do 10 times better. Now, you don't need to know how you're going to do it. Your spirit knows how. You just need to know that you have to make a decision and mix that decision with discipline, and that's what's going to happen. Now, if we're going to change image, we have to accept this idea. Your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. It requires no modification or improvement. It is all-knowing, it is all-powerful, and it is ever-present. This is the real you. Now, this is the question we have to really focus on. Are you truly what or who you pretend to be? I want us to take a good look at that. I am talking to you. Are you? I'm not talking to the group. I'm talking to you, the individual who's watching this. Are you truly who or what you pretend to be? Is this idea so big about our spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect? I know years ago it was for me. I said, this is such a big idea to accept. And once I started falling in love with myself and getting comfortable with myself and working on building a bigger picture every day, I accepted this. I really understood it. And understand that every single person, no matter how poorly your results are or how outstanding they are, everyone's spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. On top of this is the paradigm. And that's what we want to alter. Now, attitude is everything. We have an attitude towards everything we do. We have an attitude towards this training. We have an attitude towards our spiritual DNA being absolutely perfect. We have an attitude towards money. Just go look at your income. What you earn is your attitude towards yourself. Now, as we alter that attitude, everything changes. Now, what is attitude? We talked about this yesterday. We have a power that's flowing in and through us, and it puts out a thought that's either directed towards what we want or what we don't want. Well, that thought goes out into the universe gives it back to us, and that turns into a feeling. Those feelings are put out into the universe. Guess what? The universe gives it back to us, and that dictates our vibration. Well, our vibration dictates our action and dictates what we attract. And this is a 3-step process. It's thoughts, feelings, action, and that's what attitude is. If I can emphasize anything more important to you, it's study your attitude. A lot of people think they have a great attitude because they're optimistic. It's not true. If you are optimistic, but you are operating, your dominating thinking is lacking limitation, you're operating from a negative mental attitude. We want to really study our attitude. Study yourself. Watch yourself throughout the day. Watch yourself. Take the next 2 years like I did and study attitude. You will see how much your results will change. This is so important because what did I say? Our perception is how we see ourselves. Well, put in another word, our perception is our attitude of ourselves. Our results, what is that? That's our attitude towards ourselves. Our results are the attitude towards what we're doing. And remember, when you believe in yourself and when you believe nothing is impossible, I guarantee you your success is absolutely certain. Belief is just a repetition of the same thoughts and ideas compounded over time. Instead, why do people sit around thinking about why something isn't working? It's paradigm, it's conditioning. Imagine for the next 90 days, you say, you know what? I'm really going to focus on what I want. That is going to be my attitude. Everything in your outside world is going to reflect that. Now, and your results are going to change tremendously. Now, we have a power that's flowing through us. Are my thoughts more in harmony with abundance or in scarcity? You know that answer already. If it's in scarcity, that's why you're getting the results you're getting. If it's in abundance, that's why you're getting. And remember, abundance, we have to activate abundance. We have to think about what we want. And if you want to know the behavior of abundance, it never thinks in scarcity. If you want to create generational wealth, wealth never thinks in scarcity. So if you are thinking in scarcity on a continuous basis, that's under your control and you can change it. Well, how do you change it? Discipline. Anytime you have a thought of scarcity, you say, cancel. I do not accept that. And be firm with yourself. You're being firm with your paradigm. Thought is under your control. My thought is under my control. If somebody is impacting my attitude, I'm allowing them. And that is something that we all have to master. Now, this is very important. Our thoughts are the prequel to our what shows up. They're the coming attractions. Thought is the prequel to freedom. What is freedom? Falling in love with being able to do what you want, when you want, how you want, and with whomever you want, as much time as you want. And think only about what you want. As you start building that image of only what you want, everything is going to change. Now, I encourage everyone to understand the essence of who you are is for growth and expansion. That means if you're in sales, you can sell more. If you're a runner, you can run faster. If you're a high jumper, you can jump higher. We want to take the limit, that whole lid off our conscious mind of limitation. Take the lid off and have a limitless attitude. Think about that. Imagine how much your life would look like if you only operated in possibilities. Now, there are people right now who are operating in possibilities. I know I used to operate in lack and limitation, and now I operate in pure possibility of how can I? And when you do that, everything's going to change. Now, in order to really create a tremendous identity, we have to have stretch goals. Without a stretch goal, your identity is not going to improve. Because as we said all week, as Bob said, as Sandy spoke about it, if you stay comfortable with what you're doing, you're not stretching, so your image can't stretch. Your image cannot change. Well, how do we change our image? Through action, through thinking and acting. I keep saying that all week because that's how you make your change in your results. Don't reject the simplicity of those words. Stretch yourself. Today, go do something you've never done that will take you, one activity that will take you to your goal. You're going to increase your image. Now, if we're going to change our self-image and identity, we have to ask ourselves two questions. Who am I? And who do I need to become? I want you to put your goal in your mind right now and think about, how does that person behave? And what I'd like you to do is every day, see yourself on that millionaire frequency, but close your eyes and see yourself behaving like a millionaire. See yourself operating with the attitude of a millionaire. See yourself operating with the discipline of a millionaire. See yourself operating with the standard of a millionaire. And every time you do that, the rest of the day, give yourself a command and step into that new person and behave that way. Well, you might say, well, how do I do that? You just do it. Do it now. Put that as a brain tattoo. Don't judge yourself. Even if it's 1% better, it's going to create a significant shift. Now, paradigm is the foundation of what must be altered to create that new image and attitude. And as you know from all week, a paradigm is a mental program. It's a multitude of habits stored in a section of our subconscious mind. It controls all of our behavior. What did Neville say that I read? Am I speaking and acting like I had already achieved my goal? That will tell you. Now, in order to do this, we have to start using our faculties. We spoke about this earlier this week. We have a conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind, and we have a body. Now, we have our senses. Our senses are here for us to enjoy life. And we have been taught, most of us, I would say 99% of us, have been taught how to live through our senses. And that's why even the people who are really making it happen, if they don't understand what their faculties are, their unconscious competence, they don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. And I promise you, they're using their faculties, but they don't know it. We want to get you to master your faculties. I mean, absolutely. Perception, how you see yourself, your will, holding one idea. See that person that you want to become. Get emotionally involved and see yourself. Have $1 million self-image. Have a millionaire confidence. Have millionaire activities, action steps. You know, that's using your will. Build that image every day. Spend the time. Write it out. I will tell you, if anybody is listening to this carefully, if you want to really change your image, every day, get out a piece of paper and write, I am so happy and grateful now that I have a millionaire self-image. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. I am more confident every day. I am a goal achiever. I take action. I am a risk taker. And I trust myself explicitly. Well, every time you're writing it, what you're doing, writing causes feelings. Feelings cause action. You're burning it into your subconscious. And you're emotionalizing it that it's going to come into form. Well, you're using your imagination. And then read that statement. Read the first line, close your eyes, see yourself do it. Now, I promise you, I've taught this to so many people. Bob taught it to me, and it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. Do it. The doing is going to change your world. Like Emerson says, if you are not doing it, nothing's going to change. It's the visceral experience of how you change your images through the doing. Your memory, we spoke about. You have a beautiful memory. Activate your success mechanism. Only think about memories of the past of when you were successful. Your intuition. Your intuition is speaking to you all the time. That's your sixth sense. That's how you know that you know that you know. And that's why you'll know whether something is true for you, because it resonates with the essence of who we are. And then our reasoning. Our reasoning is huge. We're using it. Are we using it for us? That's our ability to think. See, as you start using these, they're in your conscious mind. You have access to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We want to use them. You know, no amount of memorizing, no amount of watching this is going to change your results. It's the understanding and application that creates freedom. Now, once you use these, the old paradigm's gone, the new image is gone, the new paradigm's here, and everything changes. I want you to burn this slide in your mind. A permanent paradigm shift is an absolute identity change, and improvements are only temporary until they become part of who you are. Focus on one identity-based behavior until you get that part of your image. I'm telling you, imagine if you just made discipline part of your image. That will change your life. If you make I am a goal achiever part of your identity, change your life. Now, when we talk about self-image, we have to understand our self-image is a cybernetic instrument. Now, your self-image is in your subconscious mind. It's the perception of how you see yourself. Now, you can change that. Now, in this example, somebody said on a conscious level, I'm gonna diet. I want to lose some weight. Their image on the subconscious level is I'm overweight. They use their will and they start losing the weight, but they never change their behaviors. They never change how they see themselves as a fit person. They're letting the scale dictate their weight. They're not creating the image. I am fit and trim, weighing my perfect weight, looking good and feeling great. But because they never changed it, the weight comes back on. It comes back on. And Bob got me turned on to the best book that I've ever studied on self-image, and it's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. I encourage everybody to study it. You know, there's another book that's very good on image as well. It's only about 30 pages. It's called Mental Diets by Neville. Highly recommend both books. Now, if we're going to change our image, we can't keep operating with the old. And my question is my old story still controlling me? Is that old me still controlling me? And if it is, make a decision that I'm done with the old. I am creating the life that I want from this point forward. I don't care how much the time it takes. I don't care how much the investment it takes, because you're going to spend the time and the money anyway. This is about your life, and we can't screw around with our life. We have to really go, and the days go by so quickly, and you want to take advantage of this. Build identity-based behaviors. Put your attention on who do I need to become? What do I really want? How do I really want to see myself? Ask yourself these. And it always comes back to mastering our conscious and our subconscious. What did I tell you in day one that Bob shared with me? He said, if you want to create an absolutely extraordinary life, there's two things you have to master. You have to master understanding your mind and working in harmony with the laws of the universe. Now, our conscious mind, what I want you to focus on is accepting and rejecting ideas. Accept only ideas that are in harmony with the new person you want to become. And anything from the old, get rid of it. We want to remember what doubt is. Doubt is the old conditioning that is holding on so strong to keep you where you are. That's what doubt is. Forget about it. When you have doubt, say, oh, I just know. That's the old conditioning. I promise you that's what it is. Do not spend any time in doubt. And if anyone's sitting there right now saying, well, you keep talking about you have to be disciplined. Well, you do. But if I can do it, you can do it. I was one of the most undisciplined people that I ever knew. Now I'm one of the most disciplined. And I promise you, that's what it takes to win. To win, it takes discipline and practice. Discipline and practice. So to really understand, choose only thoughts that are in harmony with what you want. Originate and keep creating new C-type goals after you achieve one after the next, after the next. Over a decade, you're going to have a bunch of goal cards stacked up by following this. And just remember, I want you guys to focus on your thinking. Do not accept anything that is not in harmony, or else it's going right to your subconscious. You emotionalize it. It's going to express in your results, and you're going to keep getting what you want. And you want to really understand your subconscious only knows what you give it. It doesn't know what's true or what's imagined. Keep building that image of the person you want to become. Now, image, we said it. You've got your senses. You have your paradigm. It dictates your vibration, creates your results. Constantly spend time building that image. See yourself as the person you want to become. You right now have accepted the idea that you are on the millionaire frequency. I am a goal achiever and I am earning $1 million. I'm enriching so many people's lives. Because if we're going to be on the millionaire frequency, we have to think and act. Well, how does a millionaire act? They are constantly leaving everyone better off than we found them. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to build a beautiful image. I want you to live with the impression of increase. That means leave every single person better off. And you keep dumping that and you'll create a new image. And as you do that, your results are going to change. Now, behaviors that are incongruent with the self won't last. What I mean is, if you are doing it for 21 days and stop, it's not going to last. You do it until it becomes an automatic behavior where you don't have to think about it. 95% of our day is run by a program. What programs are running us? Some are good, some are not so good. You want to go and say, is discipline running my behavior? Well, until it is, I'm going to keep using my will and holding that image until it is. Now, your identity, as I've spoken about, is your perception of how you truly see yourself. It is time. It is time right now to peel the mask off and really show yourself. Step into that new you. You are a genius. Your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. Step in. Step out and bet on yourself. When you bet on yourself, I promise you, the whole universe is running to your aid to serve you. Now, your future, what we do today, is going to really create our present identity. Your identity right now has been on your past decisions, beliefs, behaviors, comfort zones. Your goal is an identity. We have to match that. What are the behaviors of the person who is doing X? And as you match that, guess what? You're going to achieve your goal. The best motivation is when a habit or behavior becomes part of your identity, because it makes you feel so good. The more you feel good, the better you're going to do. The better you do, the more you're going to want to do it over and over again. Now, becoming the best version of ourselves, what did I say to start this? I said, we want to fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of ourselves. In order to do that, this requires us to continually edit our belief and upgrade our image. Well, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fall. That's part of the process. Part of winning is losing. You've got to be willing to lose with an open heart, be relentless, and that's how you're going to win. Most people are living their lives not editing their belief and upgrading their image. They're playing their life not to lose. Are you playing your life not to lose? Just know that's an outdated image. It will never take you to where you want to go. Get out of your comfort zone. Make your intent perfect. You don't have to be perfect, but your intent does. So every day we're editing our belief. And by editing, we're saying, okay, let me look back at my behaviors today. Did I operate like the millionaire frequency? Well, I did for the first 2 hours, then I dropped. Okay, so tomorrow I get to do it again. I get to get better. I get to get 1% better. Then tomorrow I'm looking at myself. Did I behave like that? You know, I was 6 hours in. I was 4 hours better behaving like that. Well, you keep upgrading and editing, you're going to see how it works. And just remember, don't give yourself excuses. Don't give yourself an out. Everything you do indicates how you value yourself. What did we say when Banky and I were talking about? We said everything in our results is a direct reflection of what we subconsciously feel we deserve. I didn't say what you consciously feel. I said what you subconsciously feel. And the great part of this, you can change this in an instant by changing your thinking. And then using momentum. How do we get momentum to work for us? We have that personal standard. Our standard, as you hold your standard, your image goes up. No, it doesn't just kind of go up. It goes up right away. And if you keep holding your standard, everything is going to change. Now, if we're going to change our image, we have to make definite decisions mixed with discipline. Let these lines represent levels of vibration. What do we call this? The millionaire frequency. Levels of vibration are referred as frequencies. We think on frequencies. Right now, this training is on a frequency. And your results, if somebody is focusing on their present results, that's where their thoughts are. You're not going to create a millionaire frequency focusing on your present circumstances. In order to do that, we have to have a definite goal, a goal that stretches us. Now, you have a goal here. This week, we are all creating a millionaire frequency. Well, you made a decision. You said, I'm going to that millionaire frequency, but you let your senses get in the way. Your paradigm dictated your attitude because you're letting the present results. You're letting the old image, that doubt, beat you. Well, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to change. Your mind and thoughts are down on this frequency. This is 100,000 a year frequency, or a 50,000, depending on where anybody is. Now, soon as you say, nope, I caught myself, I am committed. I am only going to think and act like the person I want to become. I have made an irrevocable, committed decision that I am a goal achiever. I am a millionaire goal achiever. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm earning $1 million or more every year, and it keeps getting better, and I keep enriching people's lives. I don't care what the results are telling me, that's where I'm going. I know that any idea that I accept, that I will get. My subconscious is going to take me where my conscious mind gives my subconscious. And as I think and act like that person, boom, every thought I have, every action I have is going to be on that millionaire frequency. And remember this, want is the only prerequisite for making a decision. Do I really want to be on that millionaire frequency? The answer is not just kind of, it is absolutely, it is a hard yes. This is what I'm doing. And as I do that, that's where I go. And this is why successful people make decisions so fast. They know that we have an opportunity. We have a few seconds before the paradigm comes in. And when you make a decision, always say yes. And then you could change it to no later if it does not feel right. We said earlier, you'll know the truth because the truth resonates with every cell of our body. It's the essence of who we are. And if you're saying that right now, well, Rosh, you don't know my story. I've really tried. Trust me, I have mentored thousands and thousands of people. I've been doing this work for 14 years. I have seen people who were down and out, who are now at the pinnacle. I was down and out, and now I've created better results than I've ever created in my life. And if I can do it, you can do it. This is not to impress you about me. It's to impress upon you that you have genius inside of you. Your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. It needs no modification. Think and act like that person, and your life is going to change. Okay? Today's self-image creates my future result. Put controlled attention on your image. Every day, make it a process that you are focusing on your image, writing it out, using that higher faculty of your perception, your imagination, and your will. Create that new image. And just remember, your imagination takes you there. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm $1 million earner. It right away when I said that, you start seeing yourself there. There is a place. And now we match our behaviors. We keep thinking, behaviors, thinking, action, thinking, action. Did I behave and speak like that person? What did we say? Focus on who do I need to become. Build identity-based behaviors. Don't try to get results overnight. Okay, really put in the time. There's no such thing as getting there at record speed without changing the behaviors. We've got to put in the time. You put in the work works. The ideas work if we work the ideas. And here's the best part. Winning is the best motivator. When you make winning part of your behavior, it's game over. I want to tell you this. Winning is the best motivator. When you make winning part of your behavior, it's game over. You are not just creating your old life. You're walking into that new person. And the beautiful part is next year, you're going to do it again and again. Next month, again and again. This is such an important lesson. I really recommend you listen to it. This lesson changed my life. I'm so passionate about it because I know this is the key. It's paradigm, goals, image and attitude, and wait till decision. You guys are getting the combination of what my mentor, what your mentor, Bob Proctor, did for 61 years, changed so many lives, and fall in love with the idea that you can, not why you can't, and fall in love with the idea of becoming the best version of yourself. All right, Monica, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend. I know image has been such a big shift in your life, so I can't wait to what you have to share.
Thanks, Mikey and Arash. by far, this is one of my favorite lessons. That was absolutely incredible. This lesson had such a huge impact on me. When I look back at how much my image has changed, I don't even recognize that person who I used to be. I'm so far from my old story. And that's incredible. This is so powerful to understand and embody. The very best way to change your self-image is in the doing, is taking action. Doing and action. You're going to build a tremendous amount of confidence in yourself through the doing of the action steps that's getting you closer to that person who you want to become. Self-image and attitude, they're two extremely important lessons that you're going to need to work on and learn if you want to feel the absolute best in your life. And you want to write that person of who you want to become so clearly. Okay, you want to become that person through your thinking and through your action. And you have to purify what you need to work on. You have to purify your heart. That's the most important part, which is going to be your image. You're going to work on this for the remaining rest of your days here. So let's really start out on getting that 1% better with that image and that attitude every single day. Successful people, and I've studied so many of them, but successful people work on becoming the person they need to become. So they get the results that they want today. That means your goal is an identity. Your goal is a powerful state of being. Your self-image is a certain vibration, okay? What Arash taught today was incredibly powerful. You can see and feel his passion with self-image and attitude, because I know we talk so regularly. I'm very blessed by that, but I know how much this has impacted his life. I know how much attitude has impacted Bob's life. We look at all of these things that are going on in our life. Let's say you have some insecurities, okay? And the one blessing that I had that I really learned from Arash, he says, insecurities is not a problem. It's not dealing with those insecurities. That's where the problem is, ignoring them. And I'll tell you this, I used to run away from my insecurities. I know a lot of people who still ignore their insecurities. They run away from them. That used to be me. I knew I needed to work on them, but my paradigm was so strong and my paradigm was constantly talking me out of working on my insecurities. And I remember this particular point, Arash said to me, and he was very direct. He was actually talking to my paradigm when he was doing this, but he said, if you want to work with me, there's no running, Monica. If you want to create massive success and freedom, you have got to stop running from what you need to work on and face it. And I knew he was right. See, that's the thing. I really wanted to work on them, but my paradigm was stronger at that moment. That one conversation changed in an instant. I made a decision to stop running away and from really working on the things that felt really uncomfortable and facing it right in the eye. And the best part Arash told me is that you don't have to work on all of them all at once. Work at one at a time. So for me, I always thought, oh, I have to work on all these things. I have to do this, do that. No, we work on one thing at a time. So he simplified everything for me. And since then, I have put this as a priority on my journey. I always tell everybody, I love building me. I love pursuing everything with more confidence. I love the idea of having a bigger idea of myself. I love working on being more courageous. I love trusting myself more. But anyone can do this, okay? This is not just for, like, if I can do it, I definitely know anyone can do this. But you guys have to buy yourself into that idea as well, okay? I didn't get here in one day. Definitely not. I got here working one day at a time. And to have that power over time is having power in the present moment, okay? Right now, every hour you guys are here with us this week, you be in the present moment, you do the activities, you're creating so much power. You may not see a result today, but I promise you, you will get rewarded. Imagine if all day long you were in complete control of your mind, okay? That is coming from a place of your highest self. And what did Arash say today? He said, self-image is everything. It's the most important thing, the most important habit you want to really build into your daily rituals, okay? Because what's happening is it's buried under what we feel, and it's what we carry with us all day long. We're carrying our image with us wherever we go. So we want to build it stronger and stronger every day. And the other point to this that is really important, I don't want to skim past, is that I want everyone to really fall in love with who they are and have a really great attitude towards yourself. Really get to know who you are, really have a deeper understanding of that. Get excited about being you. How many of you guys woke up this morning about getting excited about being you today? You have an opportunity every morning to wake up and be you, more of you. So anyone who I coach, I want them to wake up to be excited to grow and grow into who they truly are, expressing themselves each day more and more from the heart. And that's the opinion of what we have of ourselves. That's going to be the most important opinion you're ever going to have. Your life is really going to change dramatically when you bring out that other version of you. That one that is inside of you, that current paradigm, we want to remove that and replace that with a powerful new image. And to become part of that top 1% to 3%, you have to be willing to fail. So when we're talking about self-image and attitude, you're not going to be perfect at it. You shouldn't be perfect at it. You're changing, right? But your intent has to be perfect. You want to really understand you're going to fail forward. That's part of the journey. Okay. You have to be willing to fail and be okay with that. That's a certain attitude to adopt. And if you get knocked down, get up quickly. Okay. Don't allow the paradigm to seep in and let days and weeks go by where you're beating yourself up. Do you know how many times in my journey, I would tell Arash, I'm going to fall, but I'm going to get back up and I'm going to dust myself off and get right back at it. Because I knew that. I knew I had to build this relationship with money. And money too, but also failing. So I had to give myself permission and be okay with failing and failing. Successful people fail more than they win. But instead of focusing on the losses, they're focusing on the wins, but they use these losses, these failures, as lessons on how to get better. Every failure, there's a lesson in there for you to grow. It's either a lesson or a blessing every single time. And I coach a lot of people, and some people are so afraid to fail. They have fear, they have doubt. And I had to build that relationship with failure. And now I teach it to people on how to get rid of that. You know, we all have paradigms. I had to look at it completely different. I had to change my belief around it. That was an attitude I had to alter. I had to change my perception around it. But your attitude towards yourself, that's often the biggest shift that needs to occur. Not on the outside, not what your husband or friends or the business is saying or doing. It's your attitude towards yourself. And once you put your energy there, the outside environment and the world is going to look completely different to you. I promise you that. So I believe attitude, and Arash explained this so well. I believe attitude is this creative energy that begins with a choice of thoughts. And those choice of thoughts is you get control over every day. You get to choose your thoughts. So winning is an attitude, but also so is losing. So that's an attitude within it. So you do get to choose your thought, and that thought of choice is where your attitude begins. Every thought stems from your attitude. So to be the example of my family, I'm blessed with 3 boys, an amazing husband who supports me, and he always wants to see me win. I have a great environment. I have a tight environment, but it's amazing. But to be an example for my family and thousands of others that I coach, I had to lead myself by example. That meant showing up in ways that I never had before. It meant laying this new foundation of work and seek the people that could help me build myself up. I had to grant myself access to those peoples and those mentors. It meant investing in myself in ways I never dreamed possible so I could achieve clarity in my power. And it meant letting go of these old beliefs that kept me from living my truest, fullest self. So I had to change completely what I was doing. And I want every single person that I work with to be free. You know, mentally free, emotionally free, and spiritually free. It's so important. And that attitude is the foundation to all of our freedom. So just take a look at your attitude towards money, let's say towards money, okay? Or your attitude towards your relationships, or your attitude towards starting this new business, whatever you have in your mind, okay? Take a look at it, what you're attracting in your life when you're thinking about that. Then I want you to take a look at what do you need to change? Let's say it's money, okay? What is your attitude towards money? How do you truly feel about money? Then that's the attitude you need to change to upgrade that and get better, okay? When you're dissatisfied, I want you to look at that attitude that you have towards it. Then your results will begin to reflect your new attitude as you start to practice the power of repetition of this new attitude. So everything you do every single day is going to define how you see yourself, how you view yourself. If you have a strong self-image, you're going to be more inclined to take strong action. Okay. And we want to build that up, but build that strength day by day. Okay. That belief that you have of yourself is the most important viewpoint that you're ever going to have. So we see and view ourselves through our eyes, mind. Okay. And it's the perception of yourself. So by now we all have our goal, and that goal is a much different image than who you are today. Okay. How many of you guys, when I said, look at your goal, take a look at your goal, that's a different image of who you are today. I want to ask, how many people went to the how? Like, how can I be this person if I haven't been there before? Okay. And that how, you got to forget about that for a second. Okay. Use your higher mental faculties. This is going to be far more important to develop than worrying about the how. Once you develop your higher mental faculties, the how will show up, the opportunities. Remove these 5 senses. They're so sensitive. They're going to pick up on everything. The outside world can hear, and what you can hear and see, you got to remove that. Okay. Your higher faculties, you want to knock out that negativity and use and build those muscles really strongly. So when we look at our results, they're just showing you what you believe about yourself right now and how you see yourself. And I want you to get relaxed in the next place of where you want to be, but you must raise that image. Okay. If you want to improve your belief about yourself, you're going to have to raise your confidence, raise your belief, raise your standard, but most important, raise your awareness about you. So not just words here, but you have to actually go and do these exercises of improving every single day. That's why it's so important to make the small things, do the small things in such a big way. That's how you get really, really good at this. And you should begin to see that this entire week, absolutely everything comes down to making a definite decision to do something, right? And then act upon it immediately. Without that action, nothing's going to happen. So you have to choose to do the assignments that I give you. And we are going to send you the magic word attitude from Lead the Field by Bob Proctor. And I want you to listen to this audio. It's 36 minutes long. I want you to listen to it once today, but I don't want you to just listen to it. I want you to really get into the spirit when you listen to it. I want you to open your heart, tune off all the distractions, and I want you listening with all your senses. I want you to really take it in, okay? And what you want to do is I want you to take a look at what you're hearing. How can you increase your attitude? You're going to get ideas that you're going to pick up in this audio. Take a look at ways that you can get better and how you can increase your attitude today. And I want you to set that intention out right now, that when you're listening to this audio, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to have my attitude shift and alter at least 1% today. I'm going to take away an idea that I'm going to implement in my day immediately. Then what I want you to do is attach your success advisor to your biggest realizations when you listen to this audio and what you did to implement a new attitude today. And when you do this, really put your spirit into it. And I want you to go boldly, courageously out to the world with this beautiful attitude, this new adoption of this new habit. Okay. And today's lesson, like I said, you're going to want to listen to it again and again because there's so many golden nuggets that you're going to pick up that you didn't hear it the first time as well. So definitely go and watch the replay. And then you can join me at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, where I'm going to be interviewing Melissa on our Coach's Corner.